Thanks to everyone who's sharing their social media. I really appreciate that. If you're just joining us, hello, hello, hello. I'd love it if everyone would, if you haven't already, take a moment to drop your name, the organization you represent, and what city and state you're in, as well as your social media handles in the comments. And we will go ahead and get started with our final partner call. We made it, everyone. We're just a little over a week out from National Runaway Prevention Month. So this is really the last opportunity ahead of National Runaway Prevention Month where you're going to have us live and available to answer your questions in person or on Zoom, I guess. But please don't be shy. If you do have those questions, this is the perfect time to ask us and get live answers. And of course, even after the call, I will make sure to keep my email box open. I will try to respond to you as quickly as possible. I do have a few requests from this morning that I have not quite been able to get to, but if you have sent me a message this morning, just hold tight. I will get to that today. One of the questions that I've been getting is, will we be sending any items out? I actually am going to take a few packages to the post office today for the first 25 people who registered for NRPM. And then we are working on putting together a welcome packet or like a thank you packet for everyone else who signed up as partners. So just try to make sure that you are paying attention to the partner emails because that is where all of that information will live when it's available. It's really important, if you haven't already and you're on the call today, to also take a moment to register as an official partner. Just by being in the meeting today, you are doing enough to be qualified as a partner. So we just want to make sure that we're keeping track of everybody who is working with us to help make this campaign a success. So if you haven't, I'm dropping a link in the chat now, just 1-800-runaway.org/partner call. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, that's the wrong link. You're going to want to go to 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM partner, which I'm dropping in the chat now, and that'll take you directly to the partner registration page. And that's going to help you stay up to date on all of the things that we have coming up throughout the month, including the Lunch and Learns, which we anticipate on announcing soon. So let's get started with today's partner call, hosting virtual and hybrid events. And it should also include in person, but that's kind of insinuated when you're talking about hybrid events. So today we're going to understand how special events can work into your overall NRPM plans. We're going to learn about effective engagement and planning strategies, really, really important, and explore NRS-hosted event opportunities like our national events. The first thing here, and I will say that some of this information will feel like a repeat of the information that we have talked about in previous partner calls. It's just really important to kind of tie everything together here. So if you have any questions about that, it's the perfect time to call back and we can answer those questions for you. Don't be afraid to drop those questions into the chat. So when planning events, it's really important to determine the most appropriate type of event that you want to have for your organization. So the first thing I always try to tell people to think of is, what does your organization actually do regularly? If there's something that your organization does regularly, like if you are a running company, then hosting something like a 5K is right up your alley. If you are a library, hosting something like a book fair or just a library event is like something that's more easily attainable and right up your alley. So definitely lean into things that make sense for you. Definitely do things that are appropriate for your type of organization. Work with other local organizations and partners and other community-based providers. Partnering up with these types of events helps spread the engagement between whichever organizations are participating. So having a trusted partner organization or building that new relationship is a great way to boost your engagement throughout the month as you do these different events. It's also important to identify corporate partners who may be interested in providing space and access to technology or other financial support. So if there are other corporate partners, especially in your local area, if there are any, like, I know for anyone in Nashville, like a huge list of companies that are in this city include like AIG, Insurance Group, Microsoft, Sony, like reaching out to those corporate partners, they often have budgets specifically for philanthropy, and we fit into that category. Your National Runaway Prevention Month campaigns are going to fit in that category. So it's worth reaching out to them to seeing if they can support us in different ways, whether it be by providing access to technology or financial support, like it says. Building on existing events or effort already planned for November in your community. That can also include like the national events that we're hosting through National Runaway Prevention Month, or any events that are already happening in your community. Like if there's a 5K that's already happening, if there is a choir that's putting on a local performance, ask them to find ways to be a part of those events, even if it's just giving you a couple of moments to get on the microphone and say, hey, it's November and it's National Runaway Prevention Month. We're here to help spread awareness, and we hope that you leave with this knowledge, and then you share, and you can create your own content or use the resources that we've already provided to you to like draw a little speech to tell everyone about what we're doing with National Runaway Prevention Month, the important things that happen throughout the month and how people can get involved. And then use resources, materials, and graphics from NRS and co-brand these items to localize the information. So don't be afraid. All of our logos are available on our website, as well as the National Runaway Prevention Month. If you're making your own assets, digital assets, things like graphics to post on your Instagram, make sure that you're also adding those logos to your own graphics. It just helps add to the gravity, so people know that, you know, despite the fact that this is something that you're doing to help in your own local community, it is a national effort. Engagement and awareness. I spelled develop wrong. There it is, I see it. So, but you do want to develop an outreach plan for getting the word out about your upcoming event, and use your social media, your website, your email, your newsletters. All of this information is stuff that we talked about in our last partner call, which is available for you to watch or download the slides. There's a lot of really helpful information in these partner calls that you should revisit and make sure that you're sharing with your communications teams if there's any help that you need. An example of like developing an outreach plan, this is just something that I just decided that I'm going to do, is I'll be in Nashville, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And I'm just going to be going door to door to some local businesses, coffee shops, and things of that nature with an NRPM flyer for our national events. And I'm just gonna ask if I can hang those flyers in their windows. And if they allow me to, I'm also gonna ask them to sign up as a partner. This helps not only like spread awareness by posting information in the community for people to see about what's going on, it also makes sure that they're a part of our database. So next year, when we start doing this NRPM outreach, we can say, hey, if you remember, you helped us out in spreading this awareness this year, and we'd love if you could help us bring attention to it again this year. So like if you are doing some outreach in your local area, it also helps us out a lot. If you have companies who are willing to do small things like change light bulbs in their display windows to green, or post a national event flyer in their windows, or any of our other outreach materials, if you have it, have the time, like just pull out your cell phone, take them to that 1-800-runaway.org website and ask them to sign up as a partner. You don't take any personal information from them, just their phone number and their email address and the address of their business, which usually is all public anyways. And that's all that it takes. You can let them know that just by hanging up that flyer of their windows, they're already helping make a difference. And we just want to make sure that we are keeping up with everyone who is helping us throughout this event. Send a press release and or a media alert to local media outlets, encourage on-site coverage, and invite media to attend the event and possibly participate if appropriate. If there are any like local celebrities in your area, especially like well-known business people, inviting them to attend the events, featuring them on your social media, especially if they're going to like participate in one of the events that you're having, like if you're doing like a 5K and someone is going to run that 5K with you, definitely make sure you're capturing lots of pictures, getting video content, and share those things with us so that we can make sure that they're also shared. These are ways to increase your engagement. And the reason why I keep on bringing up like local celebrities and business owners is because those people are also going to share that engagement in most cases on their own social media. So they'll be posting, sharing the NRPM hashtag, which is hashtag NRPM 2022, and sharing things out on their social media. Make sure that you're also, when they share things like this, that you're going into their post and liking their posts, saying a comment saying, thank you, we really appreciate what you're doing to help bring awareness to this. If there is a media alert or a press release that a company sends out that's talking about something they're doing for National Runaway Prevention Month, share that on your social media. People love to see proclamations and press releases, because it shows that there is really a lot of attention on what we're doing. And then consider incentives for early registration and participation. Like I mentioned before, all of the first 25 participants who registered as partners this year are getting a special thank you gift for being really ahead of the curve. We had people who have registered right after NRPM last year in December. So it's a huge commitment to go ahead and make sure that your partner that your organization is going to be represented and ahead of the curve. So when that first email from NRPM goes out, that you're the first people who are aware that we're starting the planning phases. I think we sent our first email out for NRPM this year in June or July. So we really get an early start on putting together these partner calls, and going ahead and registering for the next year just helps make sure that your organization is ahead of the curve. Before I move on, does anyone have any questions so far? And I want to also make sure to remind people that a lot of this information is going to be available at this web address, 1-800-Runaway.org/partner call, and our previous partner calls more in depth. Feel free again to take yourself off mute or to drop a question in the chat if you have a question. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and push forward, but don't hesitate if you do come up with a question, drop it in the chat at any time. The next thing that we'll talk about when we're talking about events is something that you probably heard me say 50 times already if you've done the previous call, but it's involving the youth voice. So you're including young people from your programs and your planning efforts is the first step. So that means that if you have a youth advisory board or any youth ambassadors, any young volunteers, having them help you plan this, decide which language you're using to communicate with young people and things like that are extremely invaluable. I feel like I learn something every day from our volunteers and our youth advisory board members, because I present questions to them and they say things that I never would have thought of. And it's really important to have that additional sounding board to make sure that the information and the visuals that you're putting out are resonating with the people who we want to take part in this experience with us. Speaking of experience, you want to also invite youth with lived experience. That often for many of us are youth who have joined our youth advisory boards or who are involved with volunteering. That's a great place to start. But it doesn't hurt to also put out feelers for other people who may not already be involved in your organization, but may have lived experience or insightful information about things related to runaway youth and homelessness that you'll want to include in your messaging. So bringing those people on board to help is probably one of the top things that you want to do, because it's really important to emphasize that youth voice. One of the tools that we've made available to help with this is this Youth Ambassador Toolkit. And these toolkits are made especially for young people who are involved with National Runaway Prevention Month. We have a partner toolkit that's put together specifically to help our partners, but the language and the graphics and things in this Youth Ambassador Toolkit are slightly different. So it's really important to help to make sure that if you're using the partner toolkit and you have young people who are involved, also sending that toolkit to them. You could also be proactive, and if you're reaching out to young people who you think are help, go ahead and attach the youth toolkit to that email. It should be small enough to fit any attachment limits. You're just making sure that you're putting something in their hands that's tangible, that they can see and look through and read about and give them the information that they need, instead of going back and forth through email. So you do encourage young people from your programs or community to become NRPM youth ambassadors. They may host their own events with guidance from the youth toolkit. Again, these youth toolkits are full of informations like different events that you can plan. We'll talk about just a handful of ideas later, and I'd also love to hear if you guys have any ideas or have already planned things. I said it would come in, here it is. So here are some event ideas that we've broken up to in-person versus virtual to kind of give you an idea of ways that you can make sure that you're reaching people in person and virtually. So if you're hosting a film screening, having an on-demand film screening that's virtual for people, it takes a little work, making sure that you have the proper rights to the film so that you're displaying it legally. But making it on demand for people is a great way to bring people together and make sure that everyone has access and can see the film. If you're doing a community resource fair, it's kind of the same thing. It's creating an additional web page so that you can host these resources virtually, and planning a time have a bunch of people visit it at once to create a discussion. If you add in like a Zoom chat link for everyone to be able to join and do a discussion, or something like Riverside FM, which is like a platform that allows you to have a lot of guests communicate with each other at once the same way that Zoom works. We have people that have already told us that they're doing film screenings. We have one partner who's like renting out an AMC theater to show one of the films that we talk about a lot. Running events and races. We've already talked to people who are either doing small 5Ks or making sure that they have representation at a 5K that's happening in November. If you're looking for options for ways to host a 5K virtually, there's a lot of different apps for that. I would literally just search virtual running app on Google. One of my favorites is Charity Miles. It allows you to create groups to track running. You can set, like, say, during the month of November, we want everyone to run 10 miles or 5 miles to bring awareness to youth homelessness. And not only does it like help track everyone's miles and shows everyone their progress, it also donates funds to a charity that's listed on the Charity Miles app. So you can search through there to find a charity. You may find one locally that you want those proceeds to go to. There are national events that we're hosting, like a Wear Green Day. One of the cool things that I really hope gets some traction this year, and I'm going to be working hard with our new social media manager, Sam, is a Wear Green TikTok challenge. I see those challenges where they like turn around and suddenly their whole outfit is green, or they like. My favorite is when a drag queen like smacks the camera with a wig, and then when the wig is gone, it's like they've just transformed into a whole different person. If we could get people doing things like that, wearing green, that would be bananas. I would be so obsessed and sharing those out constantly because I love to see that kind of content. Another really interesting idea is a slam poetry reading. That's something that can easily become virtual. All you have to do is share out a Zoom link for people to be able to join, have a sign up list for people that want to actually participate and read their poetry, and then implement some type of system where people can vote. And you know what's convenient? Every single web virtual hosting service like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, GoToMeeting, what have you, they all have poll options. So you could easily just create a poll where people can vote for their favorites. So very easy to kind of transition these in-person events to be available and accessible to people who aren't able to come in person but want to attend. I did have someone ask where you can find the youth toolkits. The youth toolkits are available on the 1-800-RUNAWAY, they're available on the NRPM homepage, which is 1-800-RUNAWAY.org/NRPM. You can find both the partner toolkit and the youth toolkit, as well as all of the other resources that we've made available. And Sam actually added a direct link to the youth toolkit. If you click that link, it'll take you directly to the PDF where you can download that. The app that was for tracking miles that I posted is called Charity Miles. You can find that in both the Apple iTunes store, the App Store, I think is what it's called, and the Google Play Store for Android. And then just a reminder of all of the national events that we're having, like the Social Media Blast, Education Week, National Resource Day, Twitter Chat, Wear Green Day, and Light the Night. These are all events where you can count on National Runaway Safe Line 100% participating and being available. So coordinating with us on those events is really helpful. I've had tons and tons of people let me know that they're planning on doing things like Light the Night or Project Greenlight. I've had several people ask about the Twitter chat questions. Yes, those Twitter chat questions, I am actually going to try to send those out to everyone who's registered as a partner today. And the Twitter chat is one of my favorite events that we do because it's the biggest boost in engagement for everyone. So last year, we were able to provide a few different organizations with the Twitter chat questions in advance, and they actually made graphics with their answers on it. So when they're responding to us, instead of writing out the text, they actually have like a visual that they can attach to it that they can keep forever. Then you always have something that you can share out that has like our question and then the answer or your response. It can become something like an FAQ or something that you can share out on social media later. So go ahead and like plan for things like that. And if you have any questions or need ideas for things like that, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email box is always open. Along with these national events, these are the, aside from your own events, of course, these are really great times for you to rally your supporters and encourage them to participate, like I mentioned earlier, in things like a TikTok challenge. Man, TikTok is where it's at. I don't know if anyone that's listening right now is on TikTok. I am not on TikTok. I'm a little bit removed from TikTok, but TikTok right now is more popular than Google. Even as a search engine, people are finding ways to use TikTok to search for information. And it also reminds me of a volunteer interview that I did with one of our volunteers. And she told me that she spoke to a young person who said they didn't even realize that a situation that they were going through was not normal and not okay until they saw someone talking about it on TikTok. They are getting their information from these places, but it's proving to actually be really helpful. So these are things to consider when thinking of ways to engage with people, is you have to make yourself visible in these places. And a part of making yourself visible is engaging with other people. And so if you have supporters or young people that work for your business, or I shouldn't say young people, because TikTok is definitely not just about young people. But if you have people in your organization who are really familiar with TikTok, talk to them about how you can boost your engagement there and how you can make sure that you're engaging with other people as well. All right, and it's really important to start preparing today. We'd love it if you had started preparing like at the beginning of the month or previously. The more time you give yourself to prepare all of these things, the less time you have to like actually work on this during National Runaway Prevention Month. Like for me, I've worked to really plan out my whole entire month in advance so that as these things are happening, I'm available for you guys to answer any questions that you have or to respond to your emails instead of like actively having to post these things or share them out. So being prepared in advance is just a, what is it called? I don't know the word because I don't have it. I'm not really great at it. Time management. It's a really great way to make sure that your time management is where it needs to be and that everything is not feeling stressful, that there's no additional anxiety because you're trying to get this information out. And then I also want to remind people to capture the special moments on camera or on film and share that on your social media with NRPM 2022 as a hashtag. This is a great way for us to be able to track the things that you're doing without you having to send everything to us directly. I really, really appreciate anybody who can take the time to let us know all of the events they're doing. I find that really helpful, but I also know that we're all working. We all have busy, packed days. So it's not always reasonable to consider sending me an email with a breakdown of everything. But what you can do is make sure that you're attaching that NRPM 2022 hashtag to everything, because then we're going to be actively seeking it out. If you have your post there, we will see it, we will find it, we will see everything. But that doesn't mean that you can't go ahead and let me know in advance what you're doing. I especially appreciate anyone who knows for sure that there's going to be a monument or a building or anything like that that lights up in green. I like to put together a list for everyone so that everyone around the country knows exactly which monuments are going to be lit. We have more than ever this year. So it'd be really great if we could help bring attention to those monuments. So when we ask them in the future to do this again, they're like, oh yeah, this actually helped bring a lot of recognition to us. So it's definitely worth doing. And that's actually all of the information that we have in the slides today. I have a question in the chat that I'm going to answer, and I want to make sure that everyone else feels free to drop their questions there as well. Let's see. I started to promote the educational sessions, but I haven't found the actual links to share them with people. Can you please share the registration link times for Education Week? Okay. So let me direct everyone to the 1-800-RUNAWAY.org website, where this is where the NRPM page lives.
And a lot of the details for those events are still in the works. So, what we put up online is a little vague, but very soon we will be providing more details about some of the educational elements. The Education Week, those details are in place, but some of the educational events, like our lunch and learns, like I said, are still in development?
Oh yes, so there's two different, like Beth is saying, there's two different components to the, like what we call NRPM learning. So we have one thing that's called Education Week, which is really just us sharing educational information out on social media. There's not really a particular time that's all going to be posted. It's just like, if you're paying attention to our social media this week, then this is all, like, there's going to be information about these specific topics coming out every day of the week. And then we also have like lunch and learns, which we are finalizing the details of now. And I think I mentioned in the email with the link to this chat that should be coming within the next few business days. We should have more information about exactly when those lunch and learns are going to be and what the topics are. We've already put together the registration page and everything for that. So it's just a matter of getting everything 100% verified that it's going to happen the way that we think it is. And then once it does, we will get that information to you. Let me see if I have any information that I can give about the lunch and learns. I do know of one lunch and learn. This is like insider information. This is what you get for coming to the partner call. The first partner call for sure will be November 7th, and it'll be a mental health roundtable of sorts. So the final information on that is still to come. Again, I'll make sure that in one of your coming partner emails, there is more detail about these lunch and learns so that you can all plan and get those on the calendar. Also, please feel free to share the link with people in your organization and outside, because these are open to everyone. So I wanted to take a moment before ending to make sure, are there any other questions, any other ideas, any other concerns that we can try to talk to you directly with while we have you here?
Well, Christopher, to add to that little secret you shared, which really isn't too secretive, November 7th is the first lunch and learn. And like Christopher said, it is focused on mental health. And then the second lunch and learn has been scheduled for November 10th. So mark your calendar. And again, more details will be shared about that event, but we do have the date.
Okay, perfect. So the date's solid. It's good to know. So November 7th and November 10th, really close together, but if you plan in advance, we can make it happen. We'd love to see all of your beautiful faces there. Even more opportunity for discussion, learning from other partners, and engaging with other partners. You'd be surprised at the amount of organizations there that share your exact mission and goals. And it's really great to have collaboration between these different organizations, because, you know, people knowing about you in your community is great. People knowing about you around the country is even better. So please help us spread awareness about these lunch and learns. Please attend them. Please share the information out with everyone.
I have a question, Christopher.
Go ahead.
This is Michelle Bart with NW Cave. We have many MOUs across the country with local, state, and national partners. And many of the times we do, we'll list an event on our Facebook page and include our partner. If it's something like today is Spirit Day for GLAAD, or for next month, Go Green with you guys. Are we allowed to add you as a co-host so it shows up on both your Facebook and our Facebook under events, or would you prefer us not to do that?
Why not? I think that's a great idea. That's something that's easily done and helps us show support. And it also helps us make sure that we're aware that that's going on. And if we can have someone in the room to answer questions, we would love to make that happen as well. I can't guarantee that that'll happen for every single case. It's definitely just based on the time that it's happening, but we would love to know about that and to see if we can have someone make sure that they attend that event.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, please. That's a really fantastic idea. Like tagging us, or making sure, like if you're making Facebook events, that you tag us or make us like co-host, or just invite us to it, even just to make sure that we know about that event and we can try to get someone in the room. We would love to make sure that we are also, just like you guys supported us through these partner calls, if we can support you through the events that you're doing, that's the idea. And we'd love to make sure that that happens. All right, you guys, this is it. We're in the thick of it officially. This is really the week and a half before NRPM. I will remind everyone once again, my email address is csmith@1800runaway.org. I've dropped it into the chat. That email address is open to you You can send me a message 24/7. I'm going to respond to it between 8 and 6 every day. But it's always open for your questions, and I try my best to like respond at least within the day. If I don't, just be a little patient with me, and I'll make sure to get to you. Sometimes right after these partner calls, I get a bigger influx of messages, and I just want to make sure that no one feels left out if I don't respond immediately. But yes, time for action. It's time for National Runaway Prevention Month. I'm so excited to see all of the events that you guys have messaged me about come to life. It sounds like this is for sure going to be the biggest NRPM ever. We have the most partners we've ever had registered. We crossed over 200 last week, which is a huge accomplishment. We have representation, I believe, in 43 states, Beth, or 42 states. We're working on it. I'll be in Nashville, Tennessee next week to figure out why we don't have any partners registered in Tennessee. And then I will make sure that I leave Tennessee with registered partners. So if you live in Tennessee and you haven't registered, please make sure you do. And again, as you continue to outreach to people in your local neighborhood, please, please, please also try to just pull out your phone and have them add their information into our partner registry. And again, the link for that is 1-800-runaway.org/partner call. Nope, /NRPM partner. I do that every time. We have lots of URLs, you guys.
I'm sorry, did you say that if we're on this partner call already, we're already registered partners, or do we also have to fill out that link?
And this is a lesson for next year. This is my bad. I should have made it all one big registration, but we do have a separate registration for partners to be listed as official partners, and then a different registration for the partner calls. So if you registered for the partner calls, you don't automatically get registered as a partner, but we want to make sure that you do. So that's why you want to go to this URL that I just dropped in the comments, 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM partner, and make sure that you're also registered there. If you don't remember, just go ahead and register again. You can filter out the duplicate, no problem.
And
Thank
Christopher, that was also about, like, here in Washington State and on the West Coast, we've been rallying up our partners and sponsors and political folks and stuff. And we've gotten a lot of people on board, but they must register with you too. And I didn't know that when I first started soliciting them. So just
It's okay.
Word of advice to everybody.
Yes, it's absolutely not a requirement. Some people may be hesitant or resistant, and that's perfectly okay. It's just like if they're willing to also register for as an official partner, bonus points. That just helps make sure that there's someone who is on our mind next year when we start sending out mailers and reminding people like, hey, National Runaway Prevention Month is coming up again. So if you haven't already, like if you already have outreach to people and you didn't do that, consider that my mistake for not like mentioning that earlier. But it's not a big deal at all. If you happen to cross paths with them again, it's just something that you can mention to them at that time.
I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Of course, that's what I'm here for.
So I'm from a youth action board. Should we register as partners like with our youth action board or with our parent organization, which is Luck Inc.?
I would separate the youth action board. So you like register as a youth action board, and then you can just note that you're a part of that organization. That the reason that I want to do that is because we also have a youth ambassadorship program, and like sometimes we should decide which one is more appropriate. Sometimes like switching gears and having that become a youth ambassador component is really more ideal. So like signing up as both, and then like if necessary, we would have our youth ambassador leader reach out to you about different opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, of course. Any other questions? Thank you all for being so active today. All right, 38 minutes in. Thank you guys for being so patient with me through all of these partner calls. Again, they're all available. This one will be available in about an hour or less on that 1-800-runaway.org/partner call. Feel free to download the slides or watch the video, which will be on YouTube, and share them with your communications teams, your PR people, your whoever's working with you, and your supporters as well. And make sure they're watching the videos, understanding how they can help. And then again, if any questions arise, feel free to direct them to my mailbox. I am so happy to help. Please, please. All right, thank you guys so much. I will see you this November on social media. Don't be surprised when you see me pop up being like, thank you so much for sharing this. Have a good day, you guys.